I am Shilpi Mehrotra. I am a senior project manager at Kline Specialty Chemicals Division. And today I'm going to be talking about delivery systems in personal care. Actives, as we see, are no longer enough in a in an efficient, efficacy-driven formulation. And these are for a few reasons, because if we look at actives, they have limits, and their limits are becoming increasingly visible. For example, many high-value actives like vitamin C, retinoids, peptides, even ceramides, these are inherently not very stable compounds, and often they are therefore not very bioavailable. They tend to degrade over time, which is before reaching their target, if they are degrading. So all these limitations, encourage the delivery systems to come in and play the role of making the formulations more effectively and where benefits are visible. The other reason is that, which is coming more from the consumer side, is that consumer expectations themselves are shifting from ingredients and ingredient claims to outcomes of those. So today's consumer is no longer very excited or impressed by the ingredients list or the hero ingredients in their formulation, but they are more driven to see what is the visible effects that they can expect, how fast those results can come, and they also need more clinical credibility behind their formulations. This is also where delivery systems play an absolutely important role in order to target the increasingly efficacy driven expectations from the consumers. They uh, they impact the formulations in a way that they bring much more holistic and functional approach to the performance of the formulation itself. For example, the encapsulation protects the actives, they provide controlled release, they provide targeted action, they increase the penetration, and fundamentally change the performance of actives overall, which is going into the formulations. So just to keep increasing the number of actives or the concentration of actives in the formulations is not enough. Cosmetic innovation is increasingly going to have in mind what is the future of cosmetics industry. So the new generation of actives are going to be increasingly more complex. The biotech derived ingredients, the microbiome friendly compounds, and more complex peptides, more complex retinoids. So what we were talking about in terms of stability and the delivery, bioavailability will be needed even much more. So the cosmetic innovators are fully aware of these, and they want to prepare better for the future generation of cosmetics, and therefore delivery systems are critical focus for them. They're also focusing on the efficacy driven beauty. So as I was also talking about, consumers increasingly demanding science backed and result oriented products. This is going to be a key driver for the innovations, where using delivery systems, the formulator can explicitly claim a certain higher level of efficacy in a certain amount of time that can be proven to bring results. So all the delivery technologies are, in the phase of uh, getting enhanced and getting more and more incorporated into complex formulations of the future cosmetics. What makes a delivery system effective in translating ingredients into real visible results are quite a few things, actually. One is their ability to bring targeted action, which is bringing the active ingredient and letting it not just sit on the surface, but to a very targeted side of action, which could mean a certain layer of the skin or a certain hair follicle, so that they are biologically more present to bring their impact. The other thing is stability. This is increasingly more important with the complex actives. Uh, a lot of the times the active ingredients degrade in the presence of oxygen, in the presence of light, and before reaching their target point, they are not as effective because of the degradation. So, encapsulation systems and other advanced biodelivery systems, what they do is they protect the uh, actives so that they reach their target point fresh and they are fully bioavailable. So this is a big enhancer to the overall efficacy of the formulation. Then there is another functionality that a lot of these biodelivery systems are bringing to the formulations of new generation is the controlled release impact. This often means that an active, when delivered to the skin or the hair, is not allowed to, give like the full release or the burst of its impact at one particular time, but hold it in the environment for a sustained amount of time so that the active can deliver its results slowly and in a prolongated time release manner. And this is also very useful when we see that a lot of products are going to claim a certain level of functionality, which is going to be there, like, 72-hour hydration lotion, or we will increasingly going to see more critical functionalities in this manner. The actives are also, often, because of their complex nature, not very bioavailable, which means that the skin doesn't find them so friendly to absorb them, or the hair doesn't find these actives or these molecules so friendly so to absorb them fully. So what the delivery systems also do is to signal the skin to say that this is a friendly and not a foreign molecule, so they can assimilate the full impact of that. The trade-offs that most formulators face when they want to balance the delivery cost and product simplicity, when it comes to formulating using advanced delivery systems, is a real world challenge that the industry must address, because it's not just about creating modern formulations to deliver the actives effectively, but it is also to do so without over engineering the product or pricing it, out of the market. So, uh, assessing cost against efficacy is extremely important, because an advanced delivery system can enhance the overall functionality, it can enhance stability, penetration, and all the good things that we discussed. But at the same time, it can also increase the raw material cost, it can increase the processing technology steps, and it can also increase the overall formulation complexity. So, finding the right balance between how much additional efficacy uh, versus cost makes the whole process commercially meaningful. I think that's the most important questions that the formulators are struggling with right now. Another challenge is that uh, this can sometimes overcomplicate or make the formulation systems much more sophisticated versus the claimable value add that they are providing. So, highly engineered systems may not always translate into um, uh, correctly perceivable claims by the consumers. So, again, here there is a balance that is to be achieved. Uh, there is a performance driven angle that the formulators must take to have the clinical backings and the scientific proofs, but they must also be able to clearly translate these benefits into claims that are understandable and are obviously beneficial, perceived by the consumers. There's another important thing that once a formulation becomes successful in design, the biggest question that arises is about its scalability. So, innovation is one thing, but scalability is also very important. and scalability is often again dependent on how complex the system is, the availability of raw materials, the consistent quality of the raw materials, etc. That needs to be addressed. The first thing that they need to reassess is at the design level itself. So uh, often they want to bring in advanced delivery technologies to the formulation, but as a trade-off to balance between the complexity and also the cost, they often fall for more standard systems like, standard emulsions, passive diffusion. So they are kind of midway uh, between the innovation and not fully there, which kind of curbs the efficacy, and that they need to reassess if efficacy indeed is the problem and not living it to the claims they want to make. Another thing they need to reassess is lab efficacy versus real world efficacy, meaning a very nicely formulated product can perform very well in a lab environment, but in the real world environment, it may or may not deliver the same results. So they need to consistently test on, different sample audiences. The environment factors such as heat, such as the other aggressors like pollution, all these create a lot of differences between a particular formulation behaves in a controlled environment, versus out there in the world. So they definitely need to keep assessing these factors. Uh, Another thing is related to the product life cycle itself. So, at the time of the launch, the product could be living up to its claim of high efficacy and certain level of result delivery. But what is its shelf life? And is the product equally effective at towards the end of its shelf life? This is also something that consistently the formulators should keep assessing.